What? Why are you shaking your head? You're welcome.
What's going on, guys? Week 1 Underdog Drafter Party. I'm here as always with Ryan Heath. We're going to talk some of our favorite contests, values, best scroll down options, game stacks, all that good stuff from an Underdog Battle Royale lens. Again, these contests are very, very soft, especially compared to DFS over on DraftKings or FanDuel. So tons of great edges there. Ryan, before we get into this, how you doing, man? How's the offseason?
I'm doing great. Yeah, it was an amazing off season, but very excited to be back to real football. There's always like a period in the off season around like late July, early August where I'm like, man, I've like run out of different ways to think about the NFL season. I just need it to get here, and it's here now. So yeah, I'm pretty excited.
Yeah, I am also very excited. I feel like the last couple weeks we've seen some of the most insane online football takes that you will see all year. So I'm excited for some real games to be played. Ryan, since it's the drafter party, obviously we have to start off with what are you sipping on today?
Oh, well, I'm glad you asked, Jake. Right now I'm sipping on a Down East pumpkin flavored cider. Went with the pumpkin a little bit early this year, but it's really good. I'm usually anti everything being pumpkin flavored, but this is like the one exception I'm going to make.
That's intriguing. I've never had a pumpkin flavored cider. That sounds pretty good. I am like a 2 out of 10 under the weather, so I'm probably only good for about half of one of these, but I am drinking a very, very nice Eagle Rare 10-year. Ryan, I don't know if you're a bourbon guy at all, but I toured the Buffalo Trace distillery with my dad maybe 2 months ago, and it was really cool, first of all, and I also got a really great bottle of whiskey for about $40. They only let you go every 90 days because their bourbons are so sought after in the gift shop and all that. So really excited.
That's pretty awesome. You flexed on me. I had the cider in a can, and you just pull out the bottle of bourbon 10 years age. All right, Jake.
Yeah, I was in high school when they bottled that, which is pretty wild. The other cool thing is that I saved it. I saved it a couple months for this show. I'm not a big alcohol drinker, but I knew I'd want the best edge I could possibly get during these underdog drafts. And I think drinking some very nice, very expensive whiskey is the way to do it. All right. So Ryan, let's talk quarterbacks here over on Underdog. Quarterback distribution is pretty clear this week. Jaden Daniels is going, at the 1-2 turn. Joe Burrow's going, mid end of round 3. I've seen him fall to later, but his ADP has creeped up a bit. And then basically everyone else is going to be available with pretty much your last pick. Who are the quarterbacks that are standing out to you this week?
Yeah, so first I'll say on Daniels that this is I feel like a long tradition every week. No surprise, Ryan is fading the most expensive quarterback on the Battle Royale slate. But yeah, I am just not quite there at the 1-2 turn with him. I much prefer all of the running backs that are there. Even like getting a jump start on the wide receivers and tight ends, I think is generally preferable. I think Burrow's a much better click. I mean, we only have him projected for just under 2 points below Daniels. And the best part about clicking Burrow kind of in the middle rounds is that the room is just going to let you have T. Higgins pretty much whenever you want after that point. Yeah. It is very rare, at least in my experience, that someone takes Higgins from you. So you immediately just get access to one of the best game environments on the slate by locking Burrow in. So really don't mind doing that. But yeah, aside from that, I think it's kind of wide open. There's a lot of really fun game environments here. I'm really just kind of playing it from a stacking perspective. But yeah, the Brock Purdy doubles are pretty fun here, or even just singles in BR on a slate that is this wide. You don't necessarily have to get that heavy on the stacks, especially in the larger field stuff. But yeah, Purdy sticks out as pretty solid to me. I don't mind Baker Mayfield. For some of the scrolling guys, I'm getting quite a lot of Michael Penix. We talked about how amazing this spot for him is, as well as the schematic matchup on the show right before this one. And then finally, Drake May just sticks out to me as you definitely don't have to stack him at all, but he's a nice little way to just kind of get different if you just took a lot of value in a specific draft and don't really have a way to make it work with a stack in a larger field. Just clicking May is pretty fun to me.
Yeah, really love all those shouts. I think this is just a great week to really think through what sort of stack that you want, and then grab the quarterback that you need. Pretty much in round 6, just about every time. Love the Drake May call there. Ryan, before we move on to running back, yes, Uncle Ted, I am aware it's illegal to use the word bourbon unless it comes from America. A few other rules with bourbon: I believe it has to be more than 51% corn, as opposed to wheat. Also has to be put in a brand new oak barrel. So if like the oak barrel has been used for anything else, I don't believe it can technically be bourbon. I was surprised at all of the rules that there are regarding bourbon. And if I'm not mistaken, I believe those have all been federally legislated. So if you lie about your whiskey being bourbon, you can actually get in pretty serious trouble, which is a wild thing to me. One of the more interesting things about the whiskey industry. Also, shout out Fantasy Guru Drew, really really good Twitter follow, does some really fun content, and just a great guy. Also, all right, Ryan, running back here. The big question mark to me is Christian McCaffrey. If you asked me 48 hours ago how I felt about these early round running backs, I would have told you, Christian McCaffrey and Jamar Chase are basically interchangeable as the 101. I'm not sure I feel quite as confident now, but I also feel like if the 49ers are going to put Christian McCaffrey out there, we have to expect a full workload, right? I know we talked about this a little bit on cashing points.
Yeah, to me, it's like if you're the team and they have more information than any of us do right now, if you're the team, it's week 1 of a very long season. If you're at all concerned about playing McCaffrey for a full workload, I think you just don't play him. I think you just hold him out. So yeah, if he's active, he is easily my 102 on this slate. What that means in terms of what you do if you're drafting here on a Friday night, and if he's falling down to the end of round 1, I'm going to start clicking him. I think you're okay to wait until Sunday morning. I guess it's the late game, so we may not get anything solid that far ahead of lock. But yeah, I think to me, I'm still clicking CMC in round 1. Yeah. You may as well take that type of risk here. I think overall, just the top of the running back slate here is really, really strong. I like Bijan. Gibbs has incredible upside. Jonathan Taylor in an amazing spot. Just the best drafts that I've had are the ones where one of those running backs like falls to me at after the 1-2 turn, and I'm like, wow, I feel like I have a super team. So that's like really where the drop off is. Do think there's a lot of value down here in Devon Achane and Josh Jacobs specifically as well, if you end up only getting one of those other guys in the first round. And the kind of like scrolls are really good at running back this week too. It's just very deep. I want basically every roster to have a running back in the flex, I think. Just guys like Chuba Hubbard, James Conner, Kyron Williams, like all of these are great like game script bets that totally have 20 plus underdog point upside that will be much lower owned.
Yeah, absolutely. Devon Achane in particular, 17.7 underdog points is our projection. That's RB3 on this slate, and he is available all the way, Ryan, at pick 19.5. Pretty great value there. Him and T. Higgins, who we will talk about shortly, are two guys that really, really pop as values. But I'm right there with you. I think I really want to go running back in the flex this week. It's a stacked running back slate. The fact you can grab a guy like James Conner, Kyron Williams, Chuba Hubbard with your last pick can really help round out your roster and help your overall projection quite a bit. Let's move on to wide receiver. I think after the CMC news, we can feel very, very confident about Jamar Chase as the 101. After Chase, Ryan, any of these sort of early round guys stand out to you?
Yeah, so I mean, I prefer Brian Thomas and Drake London to Nico and to Neighbors straight up. So that's kind of where I'm going in round 2 pretty frequently. Mike Evans and Amon-Ra St. Brown, I think, both go way too late for what their upside is. I think you want to lean into the game stacks a little more, especially with Amon-Ra, just with how we've seen his usages when the Lions are losing and playing from behind versus ahead. It's like night and day. So yeah, Amon-Ra game stacks are really fun. T. Higgins sticks out like a sore thumb. Every single week last year, it felt like T. Higgins was like the one of the best projected play versus his Battle Royale ADP. Glad to see that's not changing at all. But yeah, it's a little harder to scroll at receiver given all the great running back options. But I think probably the biggest one I would want to point out is just Travis Hunter, where his ADP is so low that he's effectively never being drafted in these six mans. And I mean, we talked about the game theory angle of this on caching points, but yeah, if Hunter goes out with like a 70 to 80% route share in one of the best game environments of the slate in the Liam Cohen slot role and completely owns, then it's going to look really silly 2 or 3 weeks from now that he was being drafted behind Jameson Williams and Jalen Waddle and DK Metcalf and all these guys on this BR slate.
Yeah, I am right there with you. I think there are a lot of really interesting scroll down values at wide receiver. Jerry Jeudy stands out. Tet McMillan is a guy who's going to be really, really popular in DFS this week, but doesn't seem to be picking up a lot of BR steam. Obviously, right there with you on Travis Hunter. Could also throw out Jalen Waddle and Devontae Adams in that category as well. Let's move to tight end, Ryan. And, you know, we've talked a lot about already at both running back and wide receiver. There are some really great picks that we can get in round 5, round 6. And to me, that makes it very, very clear. We want to grab one of these early tight ends because those other positions are so deep. Do you feel the same way?
Yeah, I want a top 4 tight end on every single roster. I've drafted 1 or 2 where I didn't get one, and I was like, oh, this team is just way worse. And the overall upside is just significantly worse than doing a team with them. So yeah, taking a lot of McBride or Kittle in round 2, round 3, even Bowers, I think is really solid. I think the Patriots could kind of be more focused on stopping the run, especially this year. That's what we've seen from Mike Vrabel defenses historically, that they are kind of in a backwards way with the modern NFL, but they're very much like we want to stop the run first. They were, I believe, the hardest or the best defense in terms of rushing yards per game allowed twice in Vrabel's 6 seasons in Tennessee. So plus with Christian Gonzalez being out, yeah, like the Bowers ceiling case is definitely there. And Joku in an awesome game environment. Yeah, any of those top 4 are great. And yeah, the rest are just really, really rough.
Yeah, I mean, I feel roughly the same about, you know, Sam Laporta, Tyler Warren, Tucker Kraft, Evan Ingram, even Zach Ertz. None of them really excite me. Laporta would be my favorite of that group. ADP reflects that. I really do think that I'm right there with you, Ryan. Top 4 tight end or bust. Feel really, really good about Bowers, McBride, Kittle, and Njoku at their respective ADPs. With all that out of the way, Ryan, we can talk some contests and then we can get into some of these drafts. Before we do, I wanted to note, guys, promo code BETSMART gives you 15% off an all-in subscription over at fantasypoints.com. No better time to get in than right now. Also, in the Fantasy Points Discord channel, we do have an Underdog Battle Royale channel. Me and Ryan will be in there. And we will also drop weekly rankings in there every Saturday morning. So that's something you can just very quickly upload to Underdog. Oh, and we have a question. What is Underdog Battle Royale? You will see this shortly. These are weekly contests. So I know Underdog, primarily known for their season-long contests. Battle Royale are weekly contests where you're still drafting, a lot like best ball. But yeah, it's like a weekly tournament, sort of similar to DFS. It's a really, really fun format. And because of the draft structure, I think it's kind of hard for people to wrap their brains around what is optimal. And because the games are newer, it just generally presents softer contests, softer opponents than you would see in DFS. You know, we've all been trying to figure out DFS for over a decade now at this point. Battle Royale is still fairly new, and a lot of people don't really seem to know quite what they're doing in these drafts. So the edges are huge. And if you stick around for a couple minutes, we will rip a handful of these drafts before we get on out of here. Ryan, let's talk contests really quick. So main contest for Underdog BR is the Battle Royale. I think this is fine. It's a tad top heavy for my liking. As the larger field contests go, and I know I said this a lot last year, I generally prefer the Wildcat. The main BR pays out about 20% of the field. The Wildcat pays out around 10%, but when you finish in that top 10%, you get a much better payout structure throughout that. So generally when I'm like spamming entries, if I'm trying to get, 80 or 100 drafts done, I'm doing that in the Wildcat as opposed to the Battle Royale. Both are perfectly fine contests. Unless you really, really want to go to Kansas City for this live final, I would generally steer away from the Dog Bowl. The rake is pretty high. You're largely paying for the experience of going to the final when you win. But Ryan, from what I understand, last year's Dog Bowl winner, big fan of your work.
Yes, yeah, shout out. But yeah, I found this out like I don't even know 6 months later. But yeah, the winner of the Dog Bowl was an advanced matchups reader. So
Let's
yeah,
go.
if you go ahead, use that promo code that Jake just shouted out, get yourself a premium or all-in subscription. Go read advanced matchups and go win the Dog Bowl.
Yeah, there you go. That is promo code BetSmart if you want to read advanced matchups and win the Dog Bowl. All right,
it's Best Ball Viper. Sorry, I should have said his name. That was who won the Dog Bowl.
Yes, shout out Best Ball Viper and shout out Advanced Matchups. That is a fantastic article. I think also one of the most unique articles in the industry. I don't really see anybody exploring these matchup angles quite like Ryan does. I always consider that must read material before I end up setting my lineups or doing any drafts. Okay, so the other main thing that I wanted to note with some of these underdog contests is, the Wildcat's about 37,000 entries. The main Battle Royale is about 55,000 entries. These smaller contests like the Bomb, the Fullback Dive, these are the contests where, generally in the Wildcat, in the main Battle Royale, I'm almost always single stacking my quarterback. In these contests, the Bomb, the Fullback Dive, because they're smaller field, you don't need to be perfect. You don't need to be quite as on it with your lineup in order to get a top 5 finish. I love double stacking my quarterback. I love game stacks for these contests. So hopefully we get one to fill tonight and we can kind of show you guys a bit of the strategy differences. I would say that the one exception with that is I don't necessarily mind double stacking in a larger field when my stacking partners are going undrafted. So something like a Jordan Love, Matthew Golden, Tucker Kraft, I actually think is fairly okay for a larger field contest just because no one's going to have it. And if Jordan Love goes off, you're going to give yourself a huge advantage relative to the field. And then the only other thing I wanted to note is that there are a handful of 12-person contests. We can see where these are at. These are really, really fun because the drafts go so deep into the player pool, and most people are not prepared for these deeper drafts. And these are also great contests. I mean, especially the Flea Flicker with only 144 entries. These are great contests to, load up on a game stack, load up on a double stack. Let's see if we can actually get into one of these 12-person contests right now, given that we always struggle to hop into one of these. Oh, Ryan, we lucked out.
Wow.
It's always hit or miss. Like there will be some, and we got the 101. There will always be weeks where, if you guys follow along with this show, where we try to get into a 12-person draft and just have absolutely no luck all night. We're waiting for many minutes on end. And then there are weeks for whatever reason, every draft we get in just insta fills. Hopefully we're not using all of our luck, Ryan, on the fills for the show. Hopefully we save a little bit for the games on Sunday. Ryan, I mean, this is easy. We're taking Ja'Marr Chase here, and then we really have to hope Joe Burrow comes back to us. If not, then we're probably looking at one of these later QBs here, right?
Yeah, I think it is Chase, like just with the running back depth that there is. Like, yeah, while there's like a bigger running back tier at the top, like Chase is just kind of in a tier of his own. So yeah, I like for half a second I considered, maybe we should look at a Bijan or a Gibbs. But yeah, I think even in 12-man, Chase is comfortably the 101 here.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. We're gonna take Ja'Marr Chase here. I would say my ideal sort of 2-3 turn would be a Joe Burrow and then one of the elite tight ends like a Kittle or a McBride. I'm not sure we'll necessarily get that, but a Joe Burrow, a Chase, and an Njoku could definitely be there, and that would also feel really, really good here. Guys, I noted this on caching points. If you have any sort of like start sit questions, I feel like we always get bombarded with those during caching points. Now's the time to ask. You know, me and Ryan will have a decent bit of time in between picks, especially on a 12-man draft. So we are always happy to answer any chat questions, chat about whatever. Ryan, I'll ask you, since it doesn't look like we have anything too pressing in the chat. How have you enjoyed your week one so far, and what are you most excited about when we get to the games on Sunday?
Man, it's week one is always kind of weird. Like it just doesn't feel as real as like every other week during the season, because it feels like we've just come out of like this fog of the off season, and it's just like getting back into the routine of I'm doing all this writing, I'm getting on the shows, and it just goes by so quickly. So it's exciting. I'm most excited to just get to the games and see it all play out. And then we're like in the weekly cycle, and it'll all come back very naturally, I think. But in terms of this Sunday, what am I most excited to see? I mean, just from a Patriots fan perspective, I'm just very excited for Drake May. That's kind of a easy cop-out answer though. But yeah, just to see fingers crossed, a functional offense would be really fun for the first time in a handful of years. I don't know. What are you most excited for just in week one as a football fan?
I would say Travis Hunter. I'm also excited to see the Bengals, if only because I really hope they get out to a hot start. I hope they've figured all this stuff out. I'm also hoping for a bit of a shootout when they do play the Browns. And it's not just because I grabbed Jamar Chase in this $3 12-man draft. It was very painful rooting for the Bengals last season, seeing them start so slow, look so great for the second half of the season and still miss the playoffs. But yeah, I'm right there with you on week one stuff. It's also probably the most different week from a preparation point of view, where we're kind of just taking all of our offseason takes and then condensing them down into week one takes. And then week two is like totally different. Like we're fully in our routine. And we have to adjust on all of the, crazy usage stuff that happens over the weekend with a lot of these guys. So yeah, week one always feels very different. I never feel like I'm fully in it until the Monday of week two. And then it's like, okay, yeah, now it's really go time. But yeah, there's also just a huge part of me that's itching for real football to be played so that people can stop tweeting out the most insane season-long takes on the internet.
See, I said that too, and then we got to real football being played last night, and I was tilting my face off again over all of the takes and things that people tweet during games, which is like, oh, Will Shipley got 2 carries on one set of downs. Looks like Saquon's in trouble. Like there's
Please just don't tell me anyone's actually tweeting that.
Yes, people were tweeting that. And this, I should just stop tweeting. I should just stop being on Twitter while I'm watching games, probably is the solution here. But yeah, like backup running back gets one series of plays and oh my God.
We got sniped on Burrow 1 pick ahead of time. Okay.
We should still go Njoku probably.
Okay. Yeah, I'm good with Njoku, and then we probably want to take a running back here. Do you have a strong preference between Kamara, Kyren, and Chuba? I'm going to pull up our projections while we wait on this. That was Max Payne. I can't believe that happened to us.
I'm going to prefer Kyren here, I think. We talked about it on caching points, but to me, there's just an angle here where McVay loves grinding out games that he can with Kyren Williams. This is like a low total game where the Rams are favored. It's exactly the type of spots we've seen Kyren succeed in the past. So yeah, I think he's a really strong play.
All right, Ryan. So I'm contemplating ways we can save this team. And, I think I might know. We can make this a Joe Flacco build. He's not a guy that I'd be looking at pretty much at all in 6-team contests. But for a 12-teamer, I think Joe Flacco is pretty solid. And I can't imagine, let's check his ADP here. I mean, he's probably going to be a guy that we can get with our last pick. He's QB 13, ADP of 68.7. Wow, a bit surprised to see him even going that high, but I suppose there is some hype for him in DFS land. What do you think about making this a Brown stack to save our Jamar Chase share?
Yeah, I'll be fully honest. That was half the reason I pushed us back into Njoku is because I wanted to see if I could get you to say, let's draft Joe Flacco. So I think I succeeded. So
I
yeah,
will.
I'm super down for it. This is like one of my favorite games of the slate. It'll
Yeah,
be really easy to get Flacco later. We can even probably get Jerry Judy as well, potentially.
I
Would be
will.
very nice. Like we could make this a really robust game stack if we wanted. We don't have to, but I
No,
think
yeah,
it's a
I
possibility.
I certainly like that angle, especially given that it's a 12-team draft and that these, all the 12-team contests are just significantly smaller. So I think going, heavier on game stacks, heavier on team stacks makes a lot of sense. And I mean, Ryan, worst case, if we can't get Jerry Judy, there's a pretty good chance we can get Joe Flacco and Cedric Tillman with our final two picks. Not sure we'll need to go quite as deep as Tillman. He's going to be available. He's barely getting drafted in these contests. But if Jerry Judy doesn't fall to us, I would be a bit interested in that. So far, we have Kyron Williams, Jamar Chase, David Njoku. Yes, unfortunately, we were sniped on Joe Burrow. Ryan, while we wait, somebody asks, any interest in Kyler Murray for DFS purposes to leverage off James Conner? I don't know. A couple of years ago, I felt like I was always in on Kyler and he always let me down. Um, yeah, I just feel like it's a stacked quarterback slate and you don't quite need to go there. And I also feel like that game could play very, very slow.
Yeah, I would say the better James Conner leverage is to just click Chuba Hubbard instead. As we talked about on caching points, they're priced very similarly. Hubbard projects for a fraction of the ownership, but they honestly have pretty similar upside cases, which is just their team rolls. And whenever their team wins or their team rolls, they both average over 20 fantasy points per game. And yes, while the Panthers are slight underdogs, that's a little bit less like solid in week one. I mean, we see favorites cover the spread at a significantly lower rate in week one compared to other weeks. So if it is just the Panthers go out and stomp the Jaguars, and I'm wrong about everything that I've ever said about Liam Cohen and Travis Hunter and Brian Thomas, then Chuba would be an amazing leverage play, both off of Connor and off of everybody else in that game.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I think that's a pretty strong call there. All right, Ryan, I'm just thinking through different ways that we can work this draft. Again, Kyron Williams, Jamar Chase. Oh my God, my cat's going crazy behind me. And David Njoku. Travion Henderson is not going to be our best available running back by projection, but he's certainly up there in terms of ADP. We could also maybe grab a Jerome Ford share here. Up to you. What are you thinking?
I almost like the receivers over the running backs here in the flex. I think once we're down to Travion Henderson and Jerome Ford.
I'm with you, and I think receiver goes deeper. Overall, do you want to go? We could go Waddle. We could go Metcalf, Pearsall. JMO's fine too.
We can go Waddle.
All right, yeah. I think I like Waddle the most.
Get back on the Jalen Waddle pain train.
Yeah. And then should we grab should we just grab our third receiver here?
I think so, and then just go Flacco to finish it off.
Yeah. I think that's
Pearsall.
Right. Yeah, Pearsall or JMO would probably be my preference. Debo's fine. Golden, fine. Could go Travis Hunter. Yeah, Pearsall's probably my favorite of these picks. Let's go with Ricky Pearsall. All right, that's going to leave us with Kyron, Jamar, Jalen Waddle, Ricky Pearsall, David Njoku. Now we have to pray that Joe Flacco falls to us. Let's cue him up. Absolute worst case, we can grab Tua. We will certainly get one of those two. And I feel pretty good about getting Flacco. But yeah, this team would have looked a little nicer with Burrow, but really can't complain. I think we made the most out of this draft overall, especially for a 12-team league here.
Agreed. Yeah, why don't you queue up like Flacco into Tua into like whatever Purdy in May or whatever as like the backups, and then we could just hop into another room instead of sitting here and waiting for
that
24 picks to pass to click one quarterback that we know we're going to take?
Probably a good idea. Where's Drake May? Oh, all the way up at QB7. I'll also keep Justin Fields just in case everybody is conspiring against me to grab my quarterbacks. But we should grab Flacco here. And yeah, I'm with you, Cobra. My cat wants Romeo Dobbs. That's a good one. I like that. I don't think my cat knows too much about Romeo Dobbs, but he certainly knows about the Wildcat. Let's fire a Wildcat entry, Ryan, and then maybe we can see if some of these higher stakes contests are calling our name. Again, in these larger field 6-man drafts, we're largely just looking at, taking the best players available and then, maybe getting a little bit unique, either with our last pick as like a one-off or with our stack. And I think my favorite way to do it is typically with our stack because, as me and Ryan noted at the top of the show, QB is very, very flat. After Joe Burrow and Jaden Daniels are off the board, almost all of these quarterbacks are going to be available for you in round 5 and round 6. And there are plenty of really, really good options there. So certainly like that. Ryan, I think this is a pretty good question. What do you think of Tyler Warren week 1 for the Colts? He's not a guy that I'm, super excited about, at least in week 1, but I do think he emerges as, eventually a very strong player for them.
Yeah, there's kind of been this idea through the preseason that he can be like the target share leader for the Colts. I would be extremely surprised if that happens. I think Josh Downs and even Michael Pittman are a lot better than anyone here on the internet seems to give them credit for. They've just really been held back by quarterback play for the entirety of both of their careers. The same thing is about to happen to Tyler Warren, which I think we're gonna learn very quickly, unfortunately. But yeah, I mean, I think he's a good player, but he's not someone I'm taking a huge stand on in week 1. Yeah. I do like the game. I like the spot, but I just much prefer to kind of attack it through Josh Downs with the Dolphins just starting guys who are not real at corner. Storm Duck is like their number 1 cornerback. His name is Storm Duck. There's a day 3 rookie at nickel corner. Like it's just it's incredibly unserious what the Dolphins are doing at corner. So, I mean, fair enough if you want to hop on like a Daniel Jones double or something on the main slate, but yeah, probably not somewhere I'm going here in Battle Royale.
Yeah, I think if I'm doing a Daniel Jones double, I'm doing it with Downs and Pittman. Even like a Downs and Jonathan Taylor feels a little bit better, but I can't hate on the Tyler Warren option. And I am a little disappointed, Ryan, that you are not taking Storm Duck seriously as the Dolphins' number 1 corner. I mean, he could be the next Darrelle Revis. Who's to say? Yeah,
who we really don't know anything. Who is to say?
Exactly.
It's before week 1.
Exactly.
Jake, how upset will you be if we live in a world where 8 weeks from now people are avoiding Storm Duck as an individual matchup in DFS?
Oh God,
because he's a lockdown. He is the new Revis.
Wow, that would be pretty shocking. I am willing to admit that there are a couple corners that I'll shy away from. I mean, Surtain's obviously the main one. Sauce Gardner doesn't shadow, but he's certainly worth shying away from. I think we're definitely going Jonathan Taylor here, right?
Yeah, easily Taylor, and then it kind of opens up. But I'm cool with Bowers here. I'm cool with any of BTJ or London here. We can do a Daniels team if you want, but it's not my favorite.
Yeah, let's go Bowers, and then this will still leave things pretty wide open for our stack. Really like the Jonathan Taylor Bowers start here at the 1-2 turn. But yeah, I mean, obviously, Ryan, I would be disappointed if I had to acknowledge that more than 2 corners matter. But it would be really funny if Storm Duck was the 3rd corner that mattered. So I can at least like that. And yeah, he's very easy to convey in emojis, as Cobra just noted. Storm Duck is it's quite the name. Ryan, I am curious what you think about this. Is Davante Adams taking the Cooper Kupp role? I think there will be some of that for him, but I don't think you can necessarily prescribe the exact same role to Davante Adams.
Yeah, I really hate like player X and the player Y role. Like we we say it sometimes and it's rarely actually true, like on the football field in terms of like real life what they're doing. Maybe in terms of Cooper Cup's volume, is he going to step into that? Yeah, I think that is entirely possible. We've always seen Stafford kind of lock on to one or two guys. It's always a very condensed passing attack. So I certainly Devontae Adams can command the volume that we saw Cooper Cup have over the first 12 weeks of last season before he kind of broke down at the end of the year. Yeah, I think that's totally in play. And he was a guy I was pretty high on in season long. I do think the concern of they haven't gotten that much practice time together because of all the time that Stafford missed this offseason is interesting to think about for week one.
Mhm.
But yeah, overall, like I think Adams is better than Cup at this point in both their careers. So he can step into that role and more possibly.
Yeah, this is looking through our projections. Also, Ryan, unless you have any objections, I'm definitely going Achan and Puka Nakua here. Both are top 8 options in our
Yeah, love
rankings,
it.
which will be in the Fantasy Points Discord tomorrow morning. Yeah, when I was looking through our projections this week, we had Puka Nakua for a 37% target share, Devontae Adams at 31%. So, that's as condensed as you will see. And, I think those projections make a ton of sense. It's hard to think through where else will targets go, especially when Stafford is the kind of guy who will never throw to a running back. And then your third best pass catcher is a Tyler Higbee, who we really haven't seen do much of anything for a while now. So I feel pretty good about Adams. And I feel really, really good about Puka, who we did grab in this draft. So far, we are looking at Jonathan Taylor, Devon Achan, Puka Nakua, Brock Bowers. Ryan, our stack is wide open here. Any of these quarterback wide receiver options really stand out to you? We could go like a Trevor Lawrence, Travis Hunter. Drake
I
Diggs.
guess show me the wide receivers first, because that's
Okay.
honestly gonna
Yeah, we'll
affect
do.
it more, I think. I don't know. I kind of like the Broncos passing game this week. I think I might be the
Okay.
only one who does. Didn't really get a chance to talk about it on Catching Points, but they have this interesting like cover 4 heavy matchup with the Titans, where like the best way to beat cover 4 and from what we've seen with the Titans last year was via play action. And I mean, they've got these 2 new running backs. We know Sean Payton loves running play action. Like I could see the explosives being there
Yeah.
for Bo Nix plus one of these receivers, probably Cortland Sutton. I mean, it probably Marvin Mims catches an 80-yard touchdown, and I lose on this take anyway. But that's like I could see the Broncos come out and just kind of roll, and
Yeah.
it not be like a competitive game, but have like these big slate breaking plays.
No, yeah, I certainly like that. And I mean, given these ADPs, I think we're getting different enough with a Bo Nix and a Cortland Sutton. It's also not something. I mean, I've probably done 10 drafts so far. I'll do a lot more tomorrow and Sunday morning, but it's also not something I've really taken much. And I think one of the main things to be aware of when you are drafting BRs is it's very, very easy to get in the habit of sort of being like, oh, okay, these guys are undervalued. I'm just going to take them every time. And then if anything goes wrong, you're just drawing completely dead. Getting as diverse as possible is something you have to make a very conscious effort to do in BR, where in DFS, you can kind of let your opto settings, your simulation settings, take more control there. All right, Ryan, I think we got time for a couple more drafts. Let's see if we can get in anything a little higher stakes. Either the bomb or the fullback dive is hopefully about to fill. Let's see here. And again, with these smaller contests, all right, I'll give it a handful of minutes here on the bomb. With
Anyone in
smaller,
chat, if you want to
yes,
draft with us,
please.
hop into bomb right now. $100 entry. Let's do it.
Yes, as long as you do not snipe us. That's the only rule with drafting us is when me and Ryan say we like a player, he's ours. You can't have him at all. But yeah, like I've harped on over and over again with these smaller field contests, like this is only 444 entries. You can really get pretty heavy on game stacks. You can double stack a quarterback with a run back. You can do quarterback +1 plus a couple run backs. So yeah, Ryan, anything else you wanted to note for these like any of these smaller field type contests?
I guess like from a this might just be me, but it makes the most sense to me. When I'm like approaching a week, so I usually will start doing drafts on, depending how advanced matchups is coming along, if I have time, but like Thursday, Friday morning is when I start drafting. Then I like to do some of my entries like in the larger field stuff first, just because it, like, the closing line value matters like a little bit more there. Like we're going to see guys like Devon Achan probably creep up throughout the entire weekend as people wake up to the projection and the fact that he is playing and doesn't have the Q tag anymore. Yeah. Like you're getting some of those guys later and making combinations that you can't on Sunday morning in those larger field contests by doing it earlier in the week. So I will always start with like a lot of my Wildcat entries early, but then I like to, in the smaller fields, that's like if I'm drafting Saturday night, Sunday morning, I like to make sure I am maxing those. Like I'll always do the single entries, the fullback dive. That'll be obviously making sure they don't fill before I get to them. But yeah, I try to push them off as long as possible generally.
Yeah, I also think it just gives you a better feel for like sort of how rooms are going. Like very easy to get your reps in on something like the Wildcat, and then you just have a better feel for how things are looking when you do get into a little higher stakes contest. All right, Ryan, I think I'm going to back out of this and go with a Wildcat, and then we can hop back in and see if we can finish the night off with a bomb entry. Let's see what we can grab here. This should fill pretty quickly. Ryan, what are you the least excited to see in week one?
Oh man, I can I say Javonte Williams bell cow roll that we got last night? That was the least excited I was to see anything in week one. Man, what running backs are gonna get way too many touches this weekend? I don't know. Like Tyrone Tracy is like
Scatabo
Berry.
Scatabo Berry is what everyone's going to say. I mean, Travion Henderson could come out of week one with like 6 touches, and everyone's talking about Ramondre. But I also wouldn't be surprised if Travion Henderson scored like 18 DraftKings points on 6 touches. So, there's that too. I don't know if you heard about his kick return, Ryan. Jerome Ford.
I was in the building for the Travion Henderson kick return, actually. And I swear to God, after he did that in the first preseason game on the scoreboard at Gillette Stadium, they actually pulled up his underdog ADP, and it was skyrocketing in real time. Oh yeah. Or I don't know. Maybe that was just my delusional brain that was overlaying that onto the scoreboard, and that's all I could think about in that moment. Instead of enjoying a fun rookie player on my favorite team making a cool play, but who's to say, really?
Yeah, I certainly believe it. I certainly believe it. Underdog has a wide-ranging advertising arm, and I wouldn't be shocked if they managed to get an ADP graph up there right after the kick return. We know it was skyrocketing. All right, Ryan, what are we thinking here? I mean, I feel like we're probably Gibbs, right?
We can just click Gibbs. Yeah,
I'm definitely good with Gibbs. Ryan, you want to give your Jahmyr Gibbs take that I think is pretty compelling?
Yeah, so my biggest Jahmyr Gibbs take is all of the sharpest people, all of the best ball influencers all offseason. All we've been talking about is, guys, what if we get to week one and Jahmyr Gibbs has a 70% opportunity share because he's really freaking good? John Morton just wants to make his mark on the offense. Like, the easiest, lowest hanging fruit way to do that is to just give Jahmyr Gibbs a few additional snaps and touches. And now we're in week one and Gibbs is projecting for like 6% ownership on DraftKings. Like, I actually don't understand. So yeah, to me, like, if you think that's in the possibility, like in the realm of possibility at all, you should just hammer Gibbs this week. Kind of similar to Hunter, where like this is going to be your only chance to take advantage of like an off-season take in a weekly format. So you may as well just do it like that. So yeah, Gibbs and Hunter is going to be a lot of my lineups just being built around both in BR and on the main slate.
Yeah, no, I'm right there with you. I think that is a really sharp call. What do you think about going BTJ here? I'm sure one of these top 3 tight ends will come back to us
we can go BTJ.
All right, yeah. Brian Thomas Jr. is one of the guys that I'm the most excited about. Obviously, there's a ton that's up in the air with someone like Travis Hunter's playing time. If this were a smaller field contest, I'd actually be pretty excited to grab like a BTJ and a Hunter and a Trevor Lawrence. For the Wildcat, probably don't need to go that route just because there tends to be so much value on the board, so many great plays on the board, even in round 5, round 6. But yeah, I'm just so excited to see Travis Hunter. It's going to be so sick if he has like a 90% route share and is a featured part of the offense and is full-time on defense. Ryan, like me and Scott Barrett both bet Travis Hunter 300-1 to win MVP. Maybe we're just lighting money on fire, but 300-1 seems like too long of odds. What would you give his MVP odds if he does do basically what I said, say an 85% route share, full-time on defense, looks good on both ends of the field? What do you think his MVP odds are?
I'm like, is Scott Barrett going to be making very compelling arguments on Twitter all December that he should be the MVP? Yes, 100%.
Oh, yeah, Scott Barrett will win over 900K, so he's going to do everything he can to influence his fellow NFL media members.
Yeah, but he never does, right? Like the Brock Purdy year, he didn't convince anyone on Purdy. He was, I can't even remember which side of Lamar versus Allen he was on last year, but it feels like, yeah, if Hunter has like that season, and we can take Kittle here, but yeah, if Hunter has like that season you're saying, I feel like everybody on Twitter is going to support Travis Hunter for MVP, but are the NFL MVP voters actually going to vote for a non-quarterback that? I don't think so. Like I would have to see that to believe it. I also have Travis Hunter MVP bags, to be clear, but I don't want to. I just like that last step of will people actually vote for it is kind of where my hang up is.
No, yeah, I think that's reasonable. I'm hopeful maybe there's some quarterback fatigue. Can't forget, Ryan, a kicker won MVP in 1982. So
is that true? Who?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Let me check this.
That sounds like producer Tom. Take notes for 5 for 5 on Dynasty Points. Who was the kicker that won MVP? He probably knows off the top of his head and doesn't have to even look it up.
Yeah, we have
I'm terrible with NFL trivia.
We have a pick here. It's Gibbs, Brian Thomas, George Kittle is our team so far. You want to round it out with a running back? We can probably get Purdy a bit later if we want to go that direction.
I was going to suggest just taking Burrow, but
okay, yeah, we could go Burrow and Higgins. That would actually be pretty easy to do. Yeah, I like that call. Let's go Joe Burrow. We can grab T. Higgins, and then this will probably end up being a pretty stacked team. T. Higgins just going way, way, way too late. Yeah, it was Mark Mosley for the Washington Redskins at the time. Next year, another Redskin won it, Joe Theismann. So Mark Mosley, most valuable player in the NFL in 1982. That's one of the best pieces of NFL trivia ever. I'm not sure, I wasn't alive then. I don't know what Mark Mosley did to convince all these people that he should win MVP. Maybe it was a lot of like clutch field goals in prime time. But I also like to imagine that every other player was just so bad that the entire NFL media was like, you know what, we just got to give it to the best kicker because no one else is even half decent right now. But if a kicker can win it, a guy who plays two positions, I think can win it. And I do think it's a compelling argument that someone who is very good on both sides of the ball is just as valuable as a quarterback. I think it's a much harder sell on a lot of running backs. Which are generally sort of the non-quarterbacks that we've seen hyped for MVP in recent years. And obviously the most recent non-quarterback to win MVP was Adrian Peterson in 2012, and then LT in 2006, Sean Alexander. Yeah, it's really just a running back and quarterback award. And lately it's just been a quarterback award. We got T. Higgins, Ryan. I feel really, really good about this Wildcat team. This is a Joe Burrow, Jahmyr Gibbs, Brian Thomas, T. Higgins, George Kittle. I would like to round this out with a running back. Would feel really good about any of James Conner, Chuba, or Kenneth Walker. I imagine James Conner is probably your favorite option here. He's certainly mine.
Yes, he's my favorite. I mean, we're not like, I don't know. Is being more unique on Ken Walker worth it? I almost think it probably is.
Yeah, this is probably a pretty chalky build so far. We know all these guys are getting drafted. Maybe T. Higgins, isn't 100% owned, but pretty close. Yeah, I don't mind. I mean, Chuba and Ken Walker have basically the same ADPs. I'm wondering if there's much of a projection gap. We have Chuba at 12.7. Ken Walker actually projects a little bit better. Let's roll with him. All right. I feel really, really good about this team, Ryan.
Yeah, I love this
Joe
team.
Burrow, Jahmyr Gibbs, Ken Walker, Brian Thomas, T. Higgins, George Kittle. Absolutely stacked BR team. Got a little bit unique at the end with Ken Walker. Good call there on grabbing Joe Burrow. And let's see if we can finish this off with a higher stakes draft, please. Oh, and we are still at 5 out of 6. I'll give it a couple minutes, and then actually let me check the fullback dive to see if that's any better. We used all our luck on contest filling on the $3 12-person draft that we were in earlier. Hopefully the fullback
for like week 1, first show of the season. Oh, okay, there we go.
All right,
week 1, first show of the season. We have people in chat asking what Battle Royale even is, and Jake is like, you know what? Let's queue up for a 12-man right now as our first show.
Yeah, there you go. Oh, and we have NFL trivia maven Thomas in chat letting us know that it was the strike season and he only missed 1 kick. Yeah, I remember my my mom told me about the strike season. She was like, yeah, there were like mailmen out there. They'd be like, yeah, this guy drives for USPS and now he's the running back for the Bears. That's pretty cool, but I'm also glad that's like not probably ever going to happen in our lifetimes, Ryan, because that would really be a bummer from a product perspective, but that would make DFS really fun. It'd be like all these UFL guys making like $700K per year in an emergency situation. And we're all trying to figure out like, some guy from Alabama A&M, like, is he any good? Yeah, it's real life replacements. There you go, Thomas.
Jake, if the UFL player pool just took over, we're taking Chase here, I think.
Oh,
yeah. If the UFL player pool just was inserted into NFL DFS, like how much money would you pull out of your mortgage, your student loans? Like how much would you be leveraging every possible asset to your name in order to max enter every contest?
Ooh, I would definitely play a lot more. The problem is that like obviously I have a huge edge in UFL generally speaking, because I'm like one of the only people who cares. Everyone would still care a lot, and there would still be a lot of really talented gamblers gambling on NFL replacement players. I would just know the most about all the spring football guys who are, after practice squad players, spring football guys are like the next man up in that scenario. So they probably would be a lot of the starters if we did get like a full, everyone in the union is striking. All of a sudden it is all UFL guys. So yeah, I would probably play 3 to 4 times my normal volume, especially for the first like month of the season. But I'm not sure I would go like Michael Saylor Bitcoin mode and like mortgage my house just to get a few more entries in, a DraftKings like $9 slant. Always got to preach a little bit of financial responsibility, no matter how big your edge is. But yeah, Ryan, you're getting me pretty excited for a hypothetical that will definitely never ever happen.
Yeah, no, it just made me like I just observe how excited you get for every UFL season, and I'm like, man, that would be Jake would be having himself a year if that ever happened.
I absolutely would be. Yeah, I do love spring football, and I'm always a little distraught at the end of the year when our spring football contests are like $3,000 to first place, because I feel like I'm the only one who cares. But hey, Ryan, at least I'm going to go down in history as one of the spring football goats when it comes to content, and that's really all that matters. Really, all that matters to me. All right, we missed out on Bowers there. I'd really like to go Achane. I am open to other picks as well. We could go Burrow and just now and try to set up the Higgins stack.
Honestly, yeah, let's do it. I feel like it's like a similar thing to in season long where people are like, oh, you have to push Joe Burrow to like the 4-5 turn or whatever. Like everyone's going to have better closing line value on you if you reach around for them. But it's like, you only have so many drafts that you can do, assumedly, if you're actually sitting there and drafting them yourself. Like, wouldn't you rather give yourself more shots at like the good stack, especially in BR where CLV is way less relevant in 1 week, where a lot of guys on a deep slate like this that go undrafted are probably going to outscore some of the popular plays. Like, yeah, just take Burrow at the 2-3 turn, and you have the Burrow chase that a lot of people just won't have because they think they have to wait and get ADP value on him.
Yeah, and it's also a small enough contest that I don't think you have to worry about there being like all of these Burrow combinations out there that got way better value than you. And like we said over and over again, there are this is a very deep week 1 in terms of like the values that we have overall. So I'm not necessarily stressing about not getting the best value on Burrow, because you can get great value on plenty of other players. I queued up T. Higgins and David Njoku. I think that would be a really fun stack. You could convince me to make this a 3 wide receiver build. Again, this is the $25, I believe, just a tad over 1,000 entries in this contest, so we're a lot more willing to game stack here. Yeah, Ryan, what direction do you want to go? I feel pretty locked in on Higgins, assuming he doesn't get sniped from us, which he might. We probably lose one of these guys.
I don't know. Like, I feel like people just let you. We only have 1 pick in front of us that doesn't already have 2 wide receivers as well. Like, I think we.
Okay.
Yeah, Njoku gets clipped, but I don't know. I think we might get Higgins.
Okay. I will pray. Worst case, we could just go Judy, get that easy game stack. Okay, so we are going to get Higgins. Let's see how running back's looking. Ooh, we have Jacobs and Genty. Jacobs, I like a lot.
Yeah, I like Jacobs here.
And let's just push. Sure. Yeah, let's just push tight end because it is all the same, pretty much 5 through 9 or so. So we have Joe Burrow, Devon Achane, Jamar Chase. We're about to take T. Higgins, and we are about to take Josh Jacobs. Josh Jacobs is another one of those guys, not as extreme as like Achane or Higgins, but he is popping in our projections relative to where he's being drafted. And, I could pretty easily see this being a Josh Jacobs game for the Packers here. How excited are you for that game stack, Ryan? I know we talked about it a bit on caching points, but I do feel like Detroit Green Bay is being just like broadly underappreciated across the industry given the total. And it's just, it feels a little messy. Like there's not a clean double stack that you can feel great about in that game. Neither of the quarterbacks are like popping particularly well in projections. Is that one you like?
Yeah, no, I do really like it. I haven't started building yet. I typically don't do that until like Saturday night, Sunday morning early. But yeah, that's probably gonna be where I start, is like, how do I make this Detroit Green Bay game stack work, and like how excited do I get about all the chalk that I can play around it, basically. I think is as good a spot of any to start on this slate. Because yeah, like the Lions have a 22.5 implied total. They went over that in 15 of their 17 games last year. Like, and I obviously hear people on, well, Ben Johnson's gone, Frank Ragnow retired. Like, is this as good of an offense? No, it's not as good of an offense as the one that scored, I think, the 4th most touchdowns in NFL history last year. But is it as good of an offense that they're going to score more than 22.5 points? I kind of think so. I think Vegas is maybe just wrong on this one. So I'm pretty excited at the idea of this game shooting off, and I want to take advantage of it as much as I can.
Ooh, we actually can get Laporta here, which I kind of like as a mini game stack with Josh Jacobs. Are you good with that, Ryan?
I'm good. I'm good with that, and also because it's a smaller contest, I'm not as worried about the uniqueness in terms of like scrolling down for a tight end. But
I mean, I think we're already a little unique by having the Joe Burrow double stack. Just checking our projections, yeah, we've got Laporta, pretty clearly as the 5th overall tight end. So I'm fine with it. 9.6 underdog points compared to 8.3 for Ertz, and then everybody else under 8. Alrighty, guys. Well, that will do it for the week 1 edition of the Underdog Drafter Party. Certainly appreciate all of the comments. Had a lot of fun drafting and drinking a little bit with my boy Ryan Heath. Brian, what should the people look out for from you over on fantasypoints.com? I know your advanced matchups article is already out, right?
Yeah, advanced matchups came out this morning. So Yeah, go read that. Check it out. It's great for preparing for the DFS slate, for any of your prop betting. I took kind of a new angle with it this year based on some off-season research. I'm adding in like some ladder betting opportunities just because of what I had found with some of the schematic matchups is the best way to take advantage of it is just the increased ceiling game rate. So yeah, I have some total sicko ladders in there. I think it's really good. Go check it out. What about you, Jake? What do you want to shout out?
I want to shout out Scott Barrett's weekly DFS breakdown. I believe that'll be out tomorrow morning. That's something that I help him out quite a bit. Also, if you're playing any DFS, I think Cashing Points is certainly worth a look alongside Outside the Box. Those are very good, like complimentary shows. And like I said, of course, Scott Barrett's DFS breakdown is another great one. But yeah, guys, really appreciate everybody for tuning in. Again, promo code BetSmart gets you 15% off a Fantasy Points all-in subscription. So if you like what we do on this show, if you like Ryan's work, if you like my work, if you want to check out the data suite, which is very, very cool, definitely use promo code BetSmart. Save yourself 15% on a sub. Best time to do it is right now. Again, appreciate all the comments, all the views, and we will see all of you at the top of the leaderboards.
What? Why are you shaking your head?
You're welcome.